Hey guys, welcome back to another Let's Draw, and today I'm going to be showing you how to draw a snake that's kind of coiled up into this pose here. You can make it any kind of snake with any kinds of patterns. This one here I actually colored to look like a milk snake because I used to have a pet snake that looked just like this, but again, you can make yours any pattern you want. You could even add a rattle on the tail if you wanted to make it a rattlesnake. But go ahead and get your drawing supplies and let's get started. Alright, so the first step we're going to do with our snake is we are going to draw the very bottom coil here. So I'm going to make a line that kind of curves down and then curves back up, making sure I leave some room for the tail that's sticking up here. Then on each side, I'm going to make a curved line for that bottom coil. And I don't want it to go too far over, just a little bit, like a parentheses. That. And then I'm going to make the line for the top of this coil and also kind of the bottom of the next one. So a little ways over, leave some empty space here. We're going to make a line that curves down and then back up like that. And then a little ways over from the end of this line, go ahead and make another curved line like this one. And the same over here. So again, leave some space. Don't want it at the way end. And then over here now on this first coil, I'm going to kind of curve over until it goes behind this second one. Okay. And now we're gonna do the same thing with like this up here. So a little ways over, make a line that just kind of curves down and curves back up like that. And then this is a bit different because now we're gonna make the snake's head. So starting a little ways over from the end of this, make it a tiny bit longer. I'm gonna have this curve up and stop, and then go straight over and stop with a bunch of space here. And over here, I'm going to draw a line that curves out and then back in and stops. We can do this curve again up here, curve it over, curve that over. And then what we're gonna do now is starting right here, and this is really important, is we wanna try to have this neck get a little smaller as it gets closer to the head, and we also don't want it to be like bumpy. So if I look here, look at how thick this is. If I were to start drawing the neck right here, I think it would be too big. It'd almost be bigger than the rest of the body. So I'm gonna move this line a little bit further over, okay? And then I'm going to start a little below and go up so that's like the neck. And very carefully kind of follow the curve that I did before and get a little closer. And I'm gonna stop here even though it is gonna go a little further over later. So we have the bottom coil, the middle, and then here is the body kind of coiling over. So that's why we have those two lines. Now let's work on the head. So right here, we're gonna go a little bit above and a little bit over, make a tiny little line, and then it angles down to make the jaw. So I have kind of a pointed jaw. And this goes over like that. And then kind of like right above this, but maybe I angled it a little bit, but like right above, I'm gonna have a line that kind of curves up and over, and then the snout is kind of squared off like that. Then I'm just gonna start right up here and very carefully kind of connect to the neck like that. Before I do the face, I'm gonna add the tail for my snake. So a little bit close to the edge of the bottom coil, I'm just gonna do a curved line that goes up and over and back out. And on my first one, it was real tucked behind this coil. On this one, I have more space. So I think I'm actually gonna have kind There we go, it gets closer. And of course the tail gets smaller and smaller, so it gets closer and closer and closer and closer. And I still have some space, so I'm gonna have these both just get a little longer and end in a point. So now we'll do the face. I added a lot of texture to my snake. You don't have to add the texture, so I'm gonna first show you how to do the eye and the nostril and the mouth, and then I'll show you how to add all the extra texture if you want to. So let's start with the eye. Let's go right about here. I'm gonna do a curved line like a frowny mouth. And then a little bit inside, I'm gonna do another curved line like a smiley mouth, leaving a little bit of that area like the eyebrow. And for this shine, I do kind of like almost like a blob, like a curved oval, and I'll fill that in black. And on the other side, so kind of like travel across from here, I'm gonna do a little curved line for the eye on the other side, and even a little bit of a shine showing there too. Then for the mouth, kind of travel from this eyebrow area to about here. And we're gonna have a little line that just kind of goes across. And if you wanna add a little smile, you can curve up. And our nostril is just two little ovals. Of course, you wanna do that forked tongue too. So a little curve with the Y shape. And then I would also go in and just kind of thicken it up a little bit. And now we have our basic drawing all done. If you want to just stop here and add color, you can. I like to add the little line for the ground too. Do that real quick. So you could just color it this way. If you'd like to add more texture though, I will show you how I did that. So the texture on the face is probably the most detailed. Starting at the front corner of the eye, I did a little diagonal line that kind of goes towards the nostril. And then above each nostril, I did a little curved line like this. Under the mouth, I did a few little curved lines to show the texture they have, the scales on the jaw. And then up here, keeping in mind that his head is turned to the side, we're gonna make this texture that we want to be centered on his face, but his face is turned. So what I mean is the point in the middle is not gonna be here, it's gonna be kind of up over here. So I make this little line that curves up, and then a line that curves that way. And one that goes down the bridge of the face, and two little lines like that. And now I'm gonna do some scales on the body. So on the underside of snakes' bodies, their scales are more like rectangles, they're not so small. So on the bottom of each coil, I'm gonna do these curved lines. And when I get to the middle, they go straight up and down. When I'm on the left, they kind of curve this way. And when I'm on the right, they'll start to curve the other way. So they curve out, and then I'm in the middle, so straight up and down, and then this way, that other direction. It really helps make it look more 3D. Since this one is more tucked in, I'm only gonna do those curved lines on the very front of the chest. And they get smaller and smaller like that. I'm gonna do some on the tail as well. And I have these get smaller and smaller and just kind of disappear. And then if you want to add some scale texture to the body without having to do literally the whole thing, I just did a lot of little U shapes kind of clustered together and left some areas where there were just a few, or some where there were none at all. And obviously a snake's entire body is covered in scales, but that's a lot to draw, and we don't need to do all that. That's a lot of extra stuff. So with this kind of technique, you get the idea without having to spend hours and hours drawing tons of little scales. And honestly, sometimes when you try to add all the textures and the patterns, it almost looks more sloppy in the end because there's just way too much going on. All right, and now I'm all finished adding my texture to my snake, and now I'm ready to color it in. So of course you can color it any way you want, and there are so many really cool patterns that you can add on a snake that are real or made up. I would definitely look up some pictures of real snakes and their patterns to give you ideas. But here is how I colored in my first one. And there you have it. I love the different stripes and colors on the milk snake. This one here is actually colored in a way to look like a poisonous snake, but it's not actually poisonous. If the yellow and the black were flipped, then it would be the poisonous one. But you can do whatever you want with yours. You can color it any sort of way that you feel like. I do think if you added a lot of texture, I would not color with marker because then it'll be really hard to see your texture. But it's totally up to you. And just take your time and have fun. All right, guys, I hope you had fun drawing your snakes with me today. I love snakes, so I would love to see how you decided to do yours. And I will see you guys next time for our next drawing video. Bye.